things I heard. So anointed. He was praying one day, and a python crossed his leg and dried up. He didn't even need to say, I bind, it dried up, just crossing his leg. What are you talking about? Anointed man, heavy duty grace. But no money.
Now look at the poor man. Oh. Few days to his death, Babalola did something for Babjide. He gave him plenty of money. Someone that has no money gave him plenty of money to go and buy a car for the work of evangelism. Thus, as they traveled to Ede that evening of July 25th, Babjide went in his own car. The car he bought by the money Apostle Babalola gave him. Someone that had no money. Babalola was extremely wealthy. Apart from the money, that is why all the money being given to him anywhere he goes, he gives it to the poor. That was why a lot of widows mourned him when he died. Yeah, good day and God bless you. Welcome to this channel once again. So in today's video, I want to give a strong rebuttal to a statement made by Pastor Biodun Fatoyinbo during his ministration at the Master's Place, Pastor Komaya's church. I want you to listen to it yourself. Then after that, I will give my rebuttals. Thank you.
I was studying recently about what Pastor Apostle Babalola did. I stand to be corrected, but what God did through Smith Wigglesworth, if they had documented what God did in the life of that man, I'm telling you, people will be coming for pilgrimage. He was anointed. Oh, I described to our church members some of the things I heard. So anointed. He was praying one day, and a python crossed his leg and dried up. He didn't even need to say, I bind, it dried up, just crossing his leg. What are you talking about? Anointed man, heavy duty grace. But no money. So all the grace just went like that. Where are his children? Where are his children? I'm sure some of them will hate God. I don't want to mention some people's names when I'm saying bad things about them. This man, so anointed that he prayed for a horse to be healed. What faith?
Yes, welcome. So I'm sure you've heard it yourself. Now let me start with this. For me to be on the right track, so that I'm not going to accuse him of what he didn't say, let me reiterate some of the major statements he made in that video you just watched. He acknowledged the fact that Babalola was highly anointed. In fact, he said he believed and he stands to be corrected that if most of the things Babalola did were documented, you know, the world will revere him more than they are revering people like Smith Wigglesworth, which that is actually true. And as a matter of fact, some of the things you did were later discovered, that is in person of Apostle Babalola, because like I'm going to be sharing from some of the resources I have here. One of my fathers in the Lord, Apostle Babalola, had done a great work. In fact, there's nobody living or dead that has written more books about the lives and works of Apostle Joseph Babalola. So I wouldn't know to what extent Pastor Biodun Fatoyinbo meant that some of his works were not documented, even though based on an eyewitness report from this book, Mantle of an Apostle, as you can see, this is one of the book. One of those who worked with Apostle Joseph Babalola that Apostle Babalola interviewed, he also acknowledged the fact that if they had known, they would have documented most of the miracles that transpired during Babalola's ministry, but they didn't really know better. And you know, some of those men were not educated. So but we thank God for the details we have. So he said that. Then the next thing he said is, but no money. Babalola has no money during his lifetime. So was Babalola really poor? Did he really lack money? Okay, so let's leave that. Then another thing he said that we must put in proper context is he said he's sure that Babalola's children will probably hate God And they asked, where are they? Where are Babalola's children? Because he was just anointed, he didn't have money. So you shouldn't just be anointed, you need to have money too. So let me start with my rebuttals. The first is this. Let us start with the definition of being poor. Yes, the word poor, what does it mean? Now, grammatically and linguistically, to be poor means someone that has very little money, such that they can't take care or meet their basic needs. Yes, they can't take care or meet their basic needs. That is what it means to be poor. Now, bringing Babalola into this definition, Babalola was never in this situation. Babalola had all his needs met while he was alive, such that it was a blessing to everyone that surrounded him. There are times that, because of the nature of his ministry, he had a lot of entourage. So anytime he comes home, his wife will have to cook and prepare meals for those large number of people. There were even times he had guests from abroad, and the wife would have to. Those are some of the things the wife went through, and a lot of people were, alleging that she was a witch, or she was possessed or something like that. We were in class some time ago, and one of my lecturers said that, and I humbly said, "Sir, can you defend that statement?" And he looked at me surprisingly, and he couldn't say anything, and I had to give him that breakdown. But don't let me digress too much. So Babalola was not someone that couldn't meet his basic needs. Rather, he was in a position where he met a lot of people's needs. And I'm not just going to say this superficially. I'm going to read some document to us, some evidence and proof. So by that definition, to start with, Babalola was never a poor man. He was never a poor man. Now, let us look at it from this perspective. During what time did Babalola live? Babalola was born in April 1904, and he died in July, 26th of July, precisely on a Sunday afternoon at Stalafia Ede in Osun State in 1959. Yes, 1959. That was when he died, after he had an hectic itinerant week. Yes, that week was very hectic for him. Now, by what parameters will you say someone was wealthy or poor in 1959? Well, I want to believe you agree with me that someone that has cars, that has workers working with him, that had assistant and entourage, was by no means a poor man. Was by no means a poor man. Yes. And I want to give us this fact. These things I'm saying are recorded in this book. If you want to get it, you can reach out. I'm going to show you. Like I told you, it's a book written by one of my fathers in the Lord, Reverend and Professor Musolele, who is a professor of ecclesiastical theology. In this book, because he didn't just come up with this book, he actually interviewed people who were eyewitnesses to all these testimonies and miracles. He traveled a lot, he did a lot of work to come up with this book. So this is not just a statement. In the academic world, you don't just say things, you have to back it up with evidences and facts. There was an occasion where someone was to refund a money he borrowed, and he didn't have the full money, and Babala told him to go and pay back the person. And at the time he got to where he was to pay the money was complete. So if a man had that kind of authority and power, do you think he will be poor? I think one of the things that we need to clarify here is this: these men had a different focus. They didn't have the intention of buying the best car, the latest car in their time. So the fact that that was not their area of interest does not mean they are poor. Does not mean in any way they are poor. There were times that his wife asked him money, and he would tell the wife, go and check under the pillow. And the money that was not kept there initially will be found there. So a man that has that grace, do you think is a poor man? And these graces were seen even in the life of virtually all of his disciples, Baba Oyelami, Baba Badari, Baba Babjide, which I'm going to share some of these things with you. So because before we say statement, in academic writing, there's a technique, it's called edging. Edging. Edging techniques. And what's edging techniques? These are techniques that helps you to avoid making absolute or categorical statement. What's an absolute or categorical statement? A statement where once you made it, it's as if you have finalized it. You are not giving room for the benefit of doubt. And once you make that statement, it means if you are confronted, then you are ready to come up with your fact and data to back up what you have said. But in a case where you know what you are saying, you are not very sure, then you're expected to use edging techniques where you use words like probably, maybe, might, words that make the discussion or argument open, showing that you are not making the final or absolute statement, that there's probably something that could be different apart from what you are saying. But the way Pastor Biodun Fatoyinbo said it, he was a poor man. What evidence, by what parameter do you judge a man poor in 1959? Like I said, a man who had entourage, who had a driver, who had workers working with him, who was feeding a lot of widows. Someone that there was a time, they were traveling. He had a program in Lagos and the car broke down. And he took his Bible and told his driver, meet me in Lagos. And when the driver was done repairing the car, he drove as fast as he could, and no car passed as at the time he was repairing the car. And he couldn't meet up with Babalola, only to get to Lagos, see ministering. Is it that kind of man that will now lack money? Their focus was different. Now, let's look at it from this angle again. During Babalola's time, he was an extremely popular man. White people, after the revival in 1930, came to Ukioyi, which is a street in Ilesha. And that place almost become a tourist center from every part of the world. People were trooping to Kyoye. People were trooping. They wanted to see who is this Babalola. So he was an extremely famous man. As at that time, where there are no media, all this media stuff today, he was an extremely famous man. And what implication does that comes with? Most of the kings in the southwest were close to him. They were his allies. And that was why anytime he goes to visit them, they're always happy when he comes to the palace to pray for them. And many times some of them will ask you, the prophet, what do you want us to give you? He was the one who oftentimes request for the forbidden forest. And those forbidden forests today are where we have Christ Apostolic churches and mountain. Those were places that could have been good for nothing economically. Yes, this is why in the southwestern part of Nigeria today, we have more of the apostolic churches. Is that a poor man by any standard? Now, in 1959, when Babalola was to die, a day before his death, which was on the 25th of July 1959, let me quickly read. As you can see here, I don't know if you see it. So, what we have here is the death of Babalola, and it's because I don't want to miss any word, and that's why I want to read this out. Listen, in July 1959, Babalola, having served his generation according to the will of God, died in Ede. From the very beginning, Babalola has given the indication that Babjide possessed the favor and intensity, fervency of the heart, as well as the missionary spirit to sit on his throne. He was the assistant general evangelist of the church. Few days to his death, Babalola took him, that is Prophet Babjide, Madaeshi, and others on his trips. When they left Odowa in July 24, where they had gone to assess the preparation for the general convention that year to F4, he was with him. When he went to Ibadan to attend the leadership meeting, he was there with him. Babalola knew that his time was up and he will soon be taken away, and he wants Babjide to be there at the final hour to receive the baton, just like Elisha refused to leave Elijah when he was to be taken away. Although Babjide did not know this at the time, he never left Babalola during his last days, even though they had always worked separately. Now, Babalola also did something for Babjide few days to his death. Look at a man that Pastor Biodun Fatoyinbo said was poor, that he had no money. Now look at the poor man. Few days to his death, Babalola did something for Babjide. He gave him plenty of money. Someone that has no money gave him plenty of money to go and buy a car for the work of evangelism. Thus, as they traveled to Ede that evening of July 25th, Babjide went in his own car. The car he bought by the money Apostle Babalola gave him. Someone that had no money. Babalola was extremely wealthy. Apart from the money, that is why all the money being given to him anywhere he goes, he gives it to the poor. That was why a lot of widows mourned him when he died. A lot of widows mourned him because of the things he was doing for them. Let's not even assume that okay, no one was giving him money. He could call that money. He could command money to show up because I mean, there were instances where he did it. But these things were not their focus. We need to put things to, a lot of people are just being misled, being misinformed. Do you know who Babalola was? Babalola lacked money. Hey, Babalola lacked money. Oh my goodness. That statement should be retracted. Please, if you someone on this video, I don't have anything with media people. I'm bringing out fact here. When I did a reactional video when Very Dark Man twisted Babadibo's message some months ago, I said something. If you're walking down the street and you see some couple of people gathered and misrepresenting your dad, telling themselves, do you know this man did this man did it, they didn't know you were a son, and obviously they were lying, will you just walk past? I can't see this kind of video, and by the grace of God, I know that what they are saying is wrong, is not in sync with history, with record, and keep quiet. It doesn't make sense. In fact, that is what it means to be apostate or to deny the faith. Exactly, that is what it means. That's what I'm saying. He needs to come up with a fact that shows that Babalola was poor. Babalola lacked money. Is it because they didn't amass wealth or buy properties in those that does that mean they were poor? That was not their focus. They were before Babalola, he knew he was going to die. Yes, that's why the last maybe I'm going to read it. He called both Evangelist Babjide and Prophet Samson Akodie. They called them, narrated his life. In fact, I'm going to read that too. Called Baba Odusono and told him there was a man I promised I'm going to do his wedding. Make sure you go and take care of it, because he knew it was going. Babalola, poor man, lacked money. Just misinformed people. Now let me continue. In the morning of Sunday, 26th July, that was 1959, Babalola called Babjide with Akonde and gave them a charge. He told the two to kneel and he prayed for them before they went for the service that day. Babjide formally brought the car and thanked the apostle for the great honor. But Babalola asked him not to thank him, but to give the glory to God. He then prophesied to Babjide that his parking lot or backyard will never be wanting of cars. And so it was, for up to the time of his death, he never bought a car with his money. People gave cars to him. Somebody that has the power to prophesy. See, he demonstrated it in two ways. First, gave him money. Go and buy a car. Plenty of money. Then he now prophesied, because I will not be there again to give you the money to buy cars. Now, when I'm no longer there, you will still need it. And because Babjide, Prophet Evangelist Babjide, was the longest serving general evangelist in Christ Apostolic Church, served for 35 years before his retirement in 1994. 35 years, and you really needed those cars to do the work of the ministry. These fathers were men whose focus was soul winning, evangelism, and they did their part. They created the school of prophet and evangelist that have produced a lot of mighty men for God. So I don't have anything against anybody. I'm just putting the record straight, and I'm saying this with all sense of responsibility and humility. Please, before anybody comes up to say things against the apostolic fathers, make sure you have your evidence and your fact. Don't just mislead people. Don't just say what is wrong. This is an intelligent age, and we have to be extremely careful. We have to be it's not good to misinform people. Yes, we can preach our sermons without having to drag the apostolic fathers. This statement, no, is a no. It's a no. Babalola was not a poor man. A poor man giving money to an assistant that he knew was going to take over to buy a car in 1959. A poor man giving a prophetic word that Babjide was not going to lack cars, and that was it. Till the time of his death. Is that a poor man? By what standard? What standard do you want to define poverty that you want to put Babalola in? And he also made a statement and said the grace went with him. Which grace? Talk of all the disciples of Apostle Babalola, Babjide that I just spoke about, Baba Akodie. Do you know the blessings their ministry is giving to people all over the world? Talk of Baba Sadela. Talk of Babo Yelami. Oh my goodness. And some other great men, apostles who walked on. Talk of this man in Ibadan, Orekoya. Talk of their works. So what are we saying, for goodness sake? What are we saying? So what are we saying? Do we know that Babalola during his lifetime provided a lot of scholarship for a lot of students? Go and make your findings. See, I told you, this is just true. There's another book there I would have got, but at least this is enough. Babalola provided scholarship for a lot of students, bought equipment and machines for a lot of apprentices who had nobody to help them. Let me read the last wish. Okay, can you see? This is page 57. I hope you can see it. Page 57. Let me read it. On the Sunday morning, 26th July 1959, as early as 4 a.m., he had woken up and prayed, took his bath, and got ready for service. Delegates from different parts of the nation had already arrived for the service and the inauguration programs. At the service, Babalola himself said the opening prayer, and G.A. Madaeshi preached. Thereafter, at the close of service, people and delegates came to Babalola for prayer and with joy. He prayed for all of them. Now listen, some other persons came to him to bid him farewell before proceeding on their journey. One of these was J.S.B. Odushona, the general superintendent of the church. As he was departing, Babalola called him back and reminded him about the young man, an orphan that he promised to help with his wedding. He had met this young man in Ibadan previously, who though had attained marriageable age, yet had not married because he had no helper. Is this a poor man cannot even meet his own basic needs, not to talk of meeting other people's needs? Yes, Babalola, he was about to die. Then he remembered, I promised this young man who is of marriageable age that I was going to help him. And because the Lord will be taking me home a couple of months from now, yes, the audition, you are going back to Ibadan. Please, that man that had no helper, make sure you do something. Now, Babalola then took it upon himself to bear the expenses of the man's wedding. He took it upon himself. And this was not the first case. This was just one out of numerous cases. On that fateful afternoon, he reminded the auditioner about the young man and told him to expedite action on the job. This was his last act of mercy on this side of eternity. Please, Pastor Biodun Fatoyinbo, I don't know if this video is going to get to him. He doesn't really have to know me, but he needs to retract that statement. Babalola, don't misinform people. Babalola was not a poor man. He was in no way a poor man. Babalola was in no way a poor man. Even many years, how many years is this in 1959 to this time? That's how many years? Over 60 something years. His life, his ministry, his name, everything associated to him is still blessing lives. That is both in his life, at his death, after his death. There's nothing that looks like poverty that is associated with him. There's nothing that looks like poverty that is associated with him. So, with all these points and evidences, Babalola is in no way a poor man. Babalola is in no way a poor man. And like I said, some other wrong narrative that have been pushed out about Apostle Joseph Babalola, once I see them, I will do a rebuttal video, because we need to set records straight. Like I said, if you see somebody alleging your dad, your mom, or your anybody you know wrongly, of what you know that this thing is a lie, and you keep quiet, what kind of person would you think you are? Yeah, and you know that this thing is wrong, and they're saying he did this, he did that, he did, and you know he didn't do it. You know it's, will you keep quiet? Yes, that's what I'm doing. So if you're new to this channel, I am Shelo Badimu. Do well to subscribe and like. Do well to share this with others, because they love videos here that will be a blessing to you. So God bless you. There's no string attached. We are just putting the record straight. And I want to say this. Preachers can preach their sermon without trying to, drag down, especially apostolic fathers. These men have tried, and they should be allowed to rest. Yes, their works is still speaking for them. Apostle Babalola, there's no ministry that has a man's picture than that of Babalola in the whole world. His books, white men are still reading about him. Now says he's a poor man. The fact that they were not amassing properties, that was not their focus. Their heart is, even Babjide, go read about him. Nothing earthly really touches them. Their heart, they were, they're thinking of heaven, thinking, always pushing about heaven, their sermon, everything about heaven. So they didn't, for year have we no continuity, therefore we look for one to come. I think that should be able 13, 14 or so. So their focus was heaven. Yes, I'm talking about Babalola's children. Yes, thank God I remember. But like I said, everything he had he invested into the gospel, built churches, and those churches at the point of his death were given. In fact, as at the point of his death, he had a meeting with the church leaders and handed over everything, gave them the authority to do the things, no string attached. And all the children he left behind were female children who eventually got married, so they can't lay claim to the properties. So what are we saying? What are we saying is high time we start putting our record straight. before people will come up and say things, they should make their findings very well. They should make their findings very well. I think the reason why a lot of preachers have been saying these things is because when they say some of these things, there are no people to debunk, or to say it's not like that, and people think it's like that. And there's this saying that the lies may go for 20 years, but one day the truth will catch up to it, and this is the era where truth will start catching up with lies. So I rest my case. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you're new to this channel, and share this with others. God bless you, and bye for now.